Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now the news in full. Health workers under the aegis of the Joint Health Sector Unions and the Assembly of Healthcare Professional Associations today protested at the Unity Fountain in Abuja. The demonstration is said to be against the proposed health sector regulatory bill, which is before the National Assembly. The association noted that they are against the bill and if allowed to pass, it will subject every medical professional to the regulation of the Medical and Dental Clinic Council of Nigeria. Troops of Operation Harikai have arrested 18 individuals allegedly supplying logistics to Boko Haram terrorists in Gobio local government area of Borno State. In a statement, the Nigerian Army said the arrest highlighted a disturbing pattern of civilian involvement in support networks that sustain insurgent activities in the northeast. The suspects were intercepted while moving through Gobio towards the Gudu Bali exit, allegedly to deliver supplies to terrorist elements. In a related development, troops have repelled an attack by gunmen on an illegal mining site in Riyom local government area of Plateau State. The incident was contained in a post shared on X by security analyst Zagazola Makama. Makama cited that the attack happened around 9 o'clock p.m. on March 24th at a mining site in Rim village where unidentified gunmen reportedly tried to seize tin from miners. Oganonsu, a high court of the Federal Capital Territory, has issued a bench warrant for the arrest of the fractional national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Kabiru Turaki San, over his failure to appear for arraignment in a criminal case instituted by the police. The trial judge, Justice Kekemeke, held that Turaki had no justification for his absence in court and consequently ordered his arrest. Turaki, a former Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs under President Goodluck Jonathan, is being persecuted by the Inspector General of Police on a one-count charge of allegedly providing false information to the police in a petition dated October 2022. The case had earlier come up on January 28 for arraignment, but was stalled due to defendants absent despite a prior court order directing him to appear. Meanwhile, the two People's Democratic Party faction have restarted the fluttering peace process ahead of the March 29 to 30th National Convention being championed by the bloc led by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. The bloc headed by Tanimu Turaki and supported by the party governors confirmed that a fresh reconciliation process aimed at uniting aggrieved fractions within the party had commenced. Turaki, who disclosed this in Abuja, explained that the reconciliation, which was kick-started on Tuesday night, is yielding some reports. Still on politics, one of the newly registered political party by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the Democratic Leadership Alliance, has unveiled its vision for Nigeria in Abuja. Our political correspondent, Ubong Osoro, was there for Global Television and now reports.
At a time the nation continues to grapple with economic challenges and insecurity, the Democratic Leadership Alliance says its emergence is driven by the urgent need to reposition Nigeria. The national chairman of the party, Barrister Samuel Mema, says the Democratic Leadership Alliance was founded not just as another political party, but as a movement of purpose built on clear ideological foundation anchored on Pan-Africanism, ethical leadership, scientific advancement, and people-centered governance. He added that the emergence of the DLA is a response to the urgent need to rescue Nigeria from systemic failure and economic stagnation.
The Democratic Leadership Alliance was founded not as just another political party, but as a movement of purpose built on a clear ideological foundation, anchored in Pan-Africanism, ethical leadership, scientific advancements, and people-centered governance. Our emergence is a response to the urgent need to rescue Nigeria from systemic failure.
The National Publicity Secretary of the party, Professor Chris Nwakobia, while speaking, said the economic policy of DLA is clear, transitioning from a consumption-based economy to a production and innovation-driven system, promoting industrialization and local manufacturing, and investing heavily in technology, research, and youth-driven enterprise.
This is not just about security, this is about food sovereignty, economic stability, and national survival. We must protect our farmers, secure our communities, and restore confidence in agriculture as a viable and profitable venture.
The Alliance is also calling for youth participation in agriculture and national development, emphasizing innovation and structured support systems. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has commended the sustained investments and humanitarian intervention of the Gates Foundation in Nigeria, pledging the federal government's support for an expanded partnership to advance the reform agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Speaking at the State House in Abuja, the Vice President described the organization as a strategic partner in Nigeria's development drive. Shettima assured the delegation that the administration would elevate its collaboration with the foundation, particularly in critical sectors such as digital transformation, nutrition, agriculture, and healthcare. The solicitor to the embattled president of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, Ibikunle Barua, has called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to order the immediate enforcement of court judgment and investigate the role of security agents in the NURTW leadership crisis. Speaking in Abuja, the lawyer maintained that Barua remains the duly recognized national president of the union, backed by rulings of the National Industrial Court and the Court of Appeal. Anita Patrick tells us more.
He alleged that despite formally notifying the Nigerian police and other authorities, the judgments have not been enforced. According to him, after waiting for over 2 years, Barua moved into the union's National Secretariat on March 23, 2026, in what he described as a peaceful and lawful action. He, however, claimed that the police arrested Barua and charged him with public disturbance instead of acting against those allegedly occupying the office illegally.
What we witnessed was not a police operation. It was a military-style invasion to subvert the judiciary. Nigeria is not a jungle. We must not return to a state of nature where might makes right. But the event of March 24 suggested, March 24, 2026, suggested that those in charge of our security apparatus believe we have already moved into a state of nation where we came from.
The solicitor also accused security agencies of facilitating the return of another individual to the secretariat despite not being part of the legal dispute. He warned that selective enforcement of court orders poses a threat to the rule of law and Nigeria's democracy. The lawyer also urged the Nigerian Bar Association, the National Judicial Council, and civil society organizations to intervene.
He should reaffirm his commitment to the rule of law in this country, not by mere words or by pretense, but by decisive actions that demonstrate that no individual, no matter how connected or high placed, is above the Constitution of Nigeria. In conclusion, we refuse to stand by while our judicial system is raped and the Constitution is set ablaze. We call on Nigerian Bar Association. We have written to the Bar Association before on this matter, but we are yet to hear their voice on this issue, on trampling of three court judgments of court.
However, he insisted that Barua will continue to pursue justice through lawful means. Anita Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
Meanwhile, the leadership crisis rocking the National Union of Road Transport Workers has taken a new turn. As state chairmen across Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory throw their weight behind Musiliu Akinsoya-led leadership, declaring a rival takeover bid unsuccessful again. Anita Patrick reports.
The show of loyalty came during a high-level meeting at the union's national headquarters, where chairmen reaffirmed confidence in Akinsoya, popularly known as MC Olumo, describing him as a dependable and forward-looking leader. The endorsement follows renewed tensions within the union after what officials termed a failed attempt by a rival faction to seize control of the secretariat.
We, the leaders of the union, the members of the union in the Southwest, and other places, disagree with him. We now bring our protest before the national headquarters here.
Unfortunate that he got the first tenure with luck. Let me come to power. Then that's why me at the state chairman of Edo. Such president, am I not supposed to loyal to him? All the Edo State Council, we are loyal to MC Oluomo.
The union's general secretary accused the faction led by Tajuddin Barawa of orchestrating unrest at the headquarters in August 2023, alleging that properties were looted and facilities vandalized in a bid to destabilize the union. He revealed that a comprehensive report covering the crisis period has been submitted to security agencies, the Minister of Labour, and other relevant bodies.
With the case currently being peddling around that they won, yes, the case has equally been appealed. We have entered appeal, and a stay of execution has equally been entered.
According to union officials, several court cases cited by the rival group as victories remain unresolved, with enforcement yet to be guaranteed. They added that appeals have been filed and a stay of execution secured.
All this one is doing is going through the back door. This case, as we are talking, is still persistent in the court.
Officials insist the union remains committed to due process and rule of law, urging members and the public to rely on verified information as the legal tussle continues. Aniette Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
You are watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. News Cycle continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello there. Here's your weather update. Temperatures remain generally high across the country, creating favorable conditions for convective activities. Combined with strong moisture influx, especially over the western region, we expect widespread rainfall across the southern areas and some parts of the central region. Looking at this high-impact weather forecast map, areas highlighted in yellow are likely to receive between 10 and 20 millimeters of rainfall in the next 24 hours, while regions in green can expect around 0 and 10 millimeters. By Friday morning, isolated thunderstorms are expected over parts of Kogi, Kwara, some parts of the Federal Capital Territory, and across the coastal cities. However, thunderstorms activities will become more widespread during the afternoon and evening hours. So stay informed, and thank you for watching.
You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is News Cycle on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. In business now, the federal government says sweeping reforms in Nigeria's power sector under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda are beginning to yield measurable results, with improvements recorded across the electricity value chain. Now, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, disclosed this in Abuja during the inauguration of the new headquarters of the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company, describing the development as a critical milestone in strengthening the sector's financial and institutional framework. Adelabu said the reforms anchored on policy overhaul, market liberalization, and institutional strengthening are repositioning the power sector for sustainability and increased private sector participation. Moving now to the federal government has unveiled a sweeping reform agenda to reposition Nigeria's cooperative sector as a major driver of economic growth, food security, and financial inclusion. Now, this follows key resolutions reached at the 8th regular meeting of the National Council on Cooperative Affairs in Abuja. Anita Patrick tells us more.
Addressing delegates, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Aliu Abdullahi, said the Council's resolutions will fast-track the transformation of cooperative societies into strong engines of grassroots development. Central to the resolutions is the adoption of the Renewed Hope Cooperative Reform and Revamp Program, a 7-pillar strategy designed to overhaul the sector. These includes regulatory reforms, digital registration systems, improved access to affordable credit, and plans to establish a cooperative bank of Nigeria.
We commit to full integration of the cooperative digitalization program, of which we have 5 consortiums that have volunteered to work with us, and so far have done so many things pro bono, supporting this digitalization effort.
The minister stressed that cooperatives remain vital to national development, supporting food production, small businesses, rural livelihoods, and job creation across the country. He noted that despite their potential, the sector has been constrained by weak structures, limited funding, and poor coordination challenges the new reforms aimed to address. Council members also resolved to harmonize cooperative operations nationwide, strengthen state-level institutions, and adopt a unified reporting system to improve accountability and efficiency.
Having chaired the National Financial Inclusion Committee for 4 years at the Central Bank, the way we do it is that once a thing comes from a partner like this, all the working groups own it.
There is an urgent need to review the existing Cooperative Act and policy, both of which are long overdue.
And bringing all stakeholders together to ensure that we work hand in hand to make the cooperative ecosystem great once again.
Stakeholders at the meeting reaffirmed their commitment to leveraging cooperatives as vehicles for poverty reduction, youth and women empowerment, and economic diversification. Aniette Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
Dangote Refinery says global market forces are responsible for the high cost of petrol in Nigeria, despite local refining. Managing Director David Bird says the refinery operates without subsidies and remains exposed to international crude prices, freight and insurance costs, all affected by geopolitical tensions, particularly in the Middle East. Bird raised concerns over limited access to locally preferred crude, forcing it to import at higher costs, stating that addressing regulatory challenges and improving crude supply will be key to reducing fuel prices in the long term. Now, in the meantime, the federal government has lifted the ban on fuel imports, granting 6 new licenses for the importation of premium motor spirit petrol, following concerns over supply amid geopolitical tensions in the Middle East. This comes after the Dangote Petroleum Refinery grapples with mounting foreign exchange losses, highlighting the challenges of the Naira for crude arrangement. A senior management official of the firm disclosed that the deal's inefficiency has eroded potential earnings, even as regulators seek to stabilize domestic fuel supply. On the foreign news now, Ghana's foreign minister has welcomed the United Nations resolution designating the transatlantic slave trade as a grievous crime against humanity. He's also calling for the accountability and reparative justice from nations involved in the historic trade. Mukhtar Qasim reports.
Speaking after the vote at the United Nations, Ghana's foreign minister Samuel Ablakwa dismissed criticism from some Western nations and insisted that countries involved in the slave trade must acknowledge their role and take responsibility. The resolution, adopted by a majority of member states, calls for restorative justice and highlights the lasting impact of slavery, including systemic inequality and racial discrimination.
Good afternoon. Today, the international community has taken a significant, considerate, and historic step forward by adopting this landmark resolution declaring the trafficking of enslaved Africans and the racialized chattel enslavement of Africans as the gravest crime against humanity.
He also urged the return of looted African artifacts and stressed the need for concrete steps towards compensation and institutional reforms.
Today, through this resolution, the world has spoken with clarity and truth. We have affirmed that the trafficking of enslaved Africans and their racialized chattel enslavement is the gravest crime against humanity, a crime whose scale, structure, and enduring consequences demand recognition at the highest level of our shared global conscience, so that we can move.
The vote has reignited global debates over reparation, with some countries opposing aspects of the resolution despite acknowledging the historical injustice of slavery. Mukhtar Qasim, reporting for Global TV News.
London has sanctioned hundreds of vessels suspected of being shadow Russia to bypass Western embargoes since the invasion of the Ukraine in 2022. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has agreed that the UK armed forces and law enforcement officers will now be able to intercept vessels that have been sanctioned by the UK and are transiting through its waters. Zaral Nasser has the rest of the report.
The move comes as Washington eased restrictions on Russian oil to soften prices sent soaring by the US-Israel war against Iran. In January, London provided support to Washington during a US operation to seize a Russia-linked oil tanker called the Marinera, previously known as the Bella One, and accused of flying a false flag.
The focus here is very much on Russian aggression in Ukraine. And we have to accept that there's a war on two fronts. There's the Iranian conflict and the continuing Ukrainian conflict. Today I'll be talking to allies about what more we can do. Of course there'll be discussions about defence spend, also defence capability. And today I'll be making clear to them that I'm giving permission for the UK to intercept shadow fleet, Russian shadow fleet ships. These are ships that are unlawfully breaching sanctions, usually with oil. We'll be working with others.
Starmer is due to address a summit of the Joint Expeditionary Force, a UK-led defense alliance of 10 member countries in Helsinki this week. The UK government says it has sanctioned 544 vessels thought to be part of the shadow fleet, which it claims transports around 75% of Russia's crude. Zahra Nasser, reporting for Global TV.
In sports stories now, the International Olympic Committee has announced a new policy limiting eligibility for the female category at the Olympic event to biological females, with the rule to take effect from the Los Angeles 2028 Olympic Games. Decision followed approval by the IOC Executive Board, which said the policy on the protection of the female category will apply to all disciplines on the Olympic program from LA 28 onwards and will not be retroactive. In announcing the decision, the IOC said eligibility for all female categories at the Olympic events, including individual and team sports, is now limited to biological females. The committee added that eligibility would be determined through screening for the Sky gene, which it described as a reliable indicator of male sex development. FIFA, the International Federation of Association Football, has outlined squad submission deadlines for the 2026 World Cup. Teams can submit a provisional list of up to 55 players by May 11th, with final 26-man squads due by May 30th. The expanded list allows for injuries or last-minute changes. The World Cup kicks off on June 11th in North America, with Mexico facing South America in the opening match. Meanwhile, FIFA's Ethnic Committee has opened formal proceedings against 3 senior officials of the Congolese Football Association over alleged financial misconduct. The officials on the investigations are FECOFOOT President Jean-Guy Moyolas, General Secretary Wantete Baji, and Finance Director Yul Ganda. FIFA said the probe follows a review of documents and information gathered through its own investigation, aiming to ensure transparency and accountability in football governance. That's it on News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @Global TV NG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching.